Happy Monday evening, everybody, and welcome to the Nana Boss Continuum. And we didn't want to waste not one moment of time tonight. I want my guests in here right away tonight, Miss Marianne Ziebell and Mr. Larry Newman. How are you guys doing?
Good.
We're great. We're great.
I'm excited. I just want to say hi to everybody. Hey there, Gary. Hi, Miss Cindy Bailey. How are you? Say hi to the Marty number 2. Hey there, DA. Good to see you as well. And so we will, let's get going here. So you guys led an expedition about 10 days ago, right?
Yes.
And you guys I'm not sure exactly where in Missouri you guys were at. Were you in like southern Missouri? Like, was it, someplace you guys go to
South
often?
Central. Yeah.
South Central. Yeah.
Yep.
So have you guys
Not
been
real
there
far from where we were at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That makes sense then.
Mhm.
We know they're there.
We sure do.
Yep.
So how did the weekend start for you guys?
It was good. It was good. Thursday night, we stuck around camp. We didn't go real far out. We took a group out, just kind of skirted the outside of the camp area because they have been known to actually come into the camp area.
Okay.
And a couple of years ago, you got a track, Larry, right?
Yes.
Or
Well, last year it was
Last year?
a year ago. We got tracks right in the camp and next to one of the tents.
Yeah. And then
Wow.
there was also some back there on that road that goes up the hill behind us.
Backside of the property. Yes.
Yeah.
They were all around.
What
So
size
yeah,
what size was the track that you got last year?
Well, I think it was around 14, 15 inches long. It was really dry last year, and with all the leaf litter, it was really hard to get a good track. When you step on the leaf litter, it pops back up, and so it doesn't retain. But there was enough that we could measure it, take photos of it, and I did cast it, and it was about 14, 15 inches long, 6,
Okay.
7 inches wide. Yeah,
Big.
big.
That's big. That is big. So you guys went, what was it, a 4-day expedition, 5-day expedition?
it's 3 days. It's 3 days.
3 days.
Yeah, it's like Thursday through Sunday, but everybody packs up and leaves Sunday morning. So, we don't really count Sunday, but it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday generally.
Mm-hmm. So what happened?
Well, Larry held down base camp. Him and some other gentlemen sat around the fire that night, and me and I don't know, I think maybe 8 others. We went out, and like I said, we just kind of did a perimeter around the campground because there's a road back there. You can walk it. There's a trail along the fence, and that's what we did. We just took off. We were walking to see if we could get anything, and we were walking through the woods. Just absolutely fly right in his face out of a tree. We found a spot back there where we decided we'd just kind of sit down and listen and just see what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing that, and one of the gentlemen walked up and told me, he's like, "Yeah, you were shining your light, and about 3 feet over your head, there were a set of eye. He got some eye shine." It's okay. So we just sat there and we listened, just to see what we could hear. Robert has some night vision. He was looking around, and we had been in this area just chilling for about 30 minutes. And I was actually sitting on a log that it was broken over, but it wasn't on the ground, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you moved, the log would bounce. But I was sitting completely still, just listening. And, you could hear those little like snaps and things, here and there. That was about the only thing that was going on. And at one point, the very end of the log felt like something hit it because it dropped out from underneath me.
Oh, wow.
And I jumped up and came running out of the bushes. They were laughing at me later because I made a path out of the bushes to get away from the log. I don't know what it was. I mean, they were trying to say, well, a squirrel or something. I don't know what it was. It was just weird. It was just weird was all that was. But like I said, one of the gentlemen had seen I shine high up,
Mm-hmm.
Lou did some flute and a little bit of drumming. That was about the extent of it. We ended up walking down some road crawling over a fence that we didn't have to if we'd have just walked around the gate. We had fun. Anyway, we ended up back in camp. That was about the extent of the first night.
Mm-hmm.
Not too much going on. And then the second day, we took off to an area where Larry had been before, and they had done some thermals and got hits. If want to tell them, I think we've talked about this, but tell them about that again, Larry.
Okay. This is an area, I think our first trip to this area was in 2017 or something like that. And Richard was with us. I think this was his first trip up here to Missouri with us. And on a Saturday night, I got to looking at the map and I saw this road that ended up at the river that was 4 or 5 miles away from us. And I thought, well, this looked like a really good place. So Richard and 3 other gentlemen, we all drove down there. The rest of the group went another area. Same river, but they were about 4 or 5 miles on down the river from us. Anyway, so we get there about 9:30 at night. It's cold, about 40 degrees in the dark. So we're real quiet. Richard starts using his thermal, and pretty soon he picks up an individual standing in the water on the other side of a gravel bar.
Wow.
And this individual would turn and walk to our right and turn around and come back and stand and look at us. So while Richard's panning, he's looking at, there's a bluff on the other side of the river. And he finds a individual standing up there, full body thermal. Like I say, it's 42 degrees at night, 9:30 at night, full body heat thermal, standing on the bluff across the river from us. So he videoed that individual for about an hour. It would turn around and walk back into the woods, come back out on the bluff, stand there. At one point in his thermal video, you could see the arm swing. The thermal doesn't have sound, but at that point we heard a huge rock hit the water in the river below. So that was our first time at that location. Like I said, we didn't know where we were going. We drove down there just on what the map said. Ended up a very remote, 2 miles away from the nearest house, middle of the night. So Richard got that thermal. Well, a year later, we go back to the same location. During the daytime, he's taking some photographs. And when he gets home, he's studying the photographs, and he sees in one of the photographs, there's kind of an opening in the leaves above the river. And when you pull up the contrast and lighten it, you could see 2 faces in that behind the leaves. They were looking at us.
Wow.
So, twice in a year at the same place, exactly a year later, it's been a really good spot to go to.
Holy cow. Yeah, nobody's running around in 40-something degree weather with no clothes on in the water.
Well, in the location, when we went back the next year and we drove around trying to find a way that we could actually crawl to the ledge, there's no way that unless you're a certified mountain climber in the daytime, you couldn't get there.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. In Richard's video, he flies along that. You can see it's sheer rock face along there.
Yeah.
and the road that you drive down to get on that side, the opposite side, it's like Larry said, there's just no way, as we were driving down it during the day, we were looking at it going, this is a sheer drop off. You better have rappelling gear on if you're going to go over the edge of it. It's that
So
sheer.
it was, so the one that you got on thermal a year ago, on top of that, that's where it was. It was like up there on the
On top
top.
of that bluff, yes.
I'm just kind of like, oh my gosh, because I've seen those photos. First of all, just saying, when you sent you had like texted me because I was out doing I was on a camp out same weekend. You guys were on camp out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and y'all had a better Friday night than I did. But hey.
Hey, that's why I run with Larry. He's a bail bondsman. He can get me out.
I thought I was gonna have to call Larry. I'm telling you, I gotta get him on speed dial from now on because I thought we were all gonna need you that night, Larry. We weren't sure, man. It was that was scary. It was like an episode of Cops. It was like they saw us coming, like they waited for us. They were like down the road, all in darkness down there, and we come walking out the trail, and the other two cars come down to meet us, and they come in hot on us like cops. And I was like, everybody, lights flashing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, well, what the heck's going to happen right now? So yeah, I gotta have you on speed dial. Hey there, Patrick. So okay, so what? Oh, thank you, Patrick. Thank you so much, and thank you so much
we
to my
love you too,
members.
Patrick.
Yes,
can't wait till
thank
Patrick
you.
can come back and go with us again.
Yes. Oh God, I loved spending time with Patrick. He's so fun. Mr. Larry too. And Larry, I thank you guys, all my channel members. Larry is also one of my channel members, and so I really appreciate you as well. So let's talk about this amazing thermal that you guys got this year.
So we went back to this same place about the same time, like Larry said. It was 9:30, and we got down there. I don't know, there was 3 or 4 vehicles, and part of us, so we got down there, part of us stayed with the vehicles, and part of us decided to walk down to the gravel bar. So Larry stayed with part of them up at the vehicle. You guys all built a fire, right?
We built a fire.
Yeah. Okay. So they were up at the vehicles building fire. So myself and Richard, Robert, Cindy and Marty, Ken, Lou, and Chris all took off walking down to the gravel bar, and we all had our chairs. We were prepared to just sit. And Richard and I were out in front a little bit, and we're walking along, and we stopped, and I could hear what sounded like clack, 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 clack. And Richard's like, yeah, I think, yeah. We're like, okay, I think that's what we're hearing. And so you walked kind of like parallel to the water till you get to one spot, and then it rounded and you dropped down to the gravel bar. And as we got to where it kind of rounded and made the corner, there was a bunch of noise. Well, we scared a deer up, and it was running around in there losing its mind, and it took off. And so we walk on down to the gravel bar, and everybody just kind of posts up along this stretch of gravel bar. And so it was Drew and me and Robert, Richard, and then there was a space, and then there was Cindy and Marty, and then there was a space, and there was Ken, and Chris and Lou were just kind of walking around. And we'd been sitting out there, an hour maybe, 45 minutes, an hour, something like that. And Richard, he was looking back and forth, whatever. And I caught him turning around, and I thought, okay, because I was kind of paying attention to him. He's kind of got that sixth sense. And he kind of kept looking over his shoulder, and he finally stood up and started therming behind us. And when you watch that video, you can hear him say that he's like, okay, we got one. And he stood there for a little bit and he kept watching and kept watching. And then he's like, oh, there it goes, something to that effect, Well, the rest of us hadn't moved. We continued to sit where we were at and we weren't looking or anything like that. So he kind of got back up in there and was looking and therming, and it had disappeared by that point. He couldn't find where it was at. Well, it had snuck up behind us. It was about 20 feet behind us, up on the berm in the brush.
Wow.
Never heard anything. So, and it was really funny. Richard's friend Drew was there and he was following him, and he kept telling him, he said, I'm only following you 15 more feet. You're going to get kidnapped. Sitting down there on the gravel bar laughing at him because Drew kept telling him he was going to get kidnapped. So we basically picked our stuff up and started walking back to the truck at that point. And there was a couple, three guys, and one of them had a son, younger son. I think he was like 11 or 12. They decided to remote camp down there that night. And so they stayed down there. And they didn't have anything happen the rest of the night, but we went back the next day and found, Richard showed me where he saw it in the brush back there. And so we got back in there and we were looking for, tracks, anything, any kind of disturbance. And basically all we could find were, where stuff was broke off. And there was an area in there there was some kind of little broadleaf plant back in there. And there was a lot of it, but there was an area of it. There's about a 2-foot circle of it that had this really fine layer of sand on it. And it was just just a circle-ish in that area. And so I wonder if that wasn't on its fur, and while it was crouching, that had fallen off and was right there.
Wow.
Because it was in the spot. I mean, it wasn't all over all of it, I mean, we couldn't find any tracks. We looked, we climbed all over everything, but that was the general area it was in. So that's what we had happen.
So how many of you was down there? There was
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think there was 7 of us when it happened, 9 total, because Lou and Chris were walking. And I think they had started back up to Larry when all this happened.
So what do you guys think possibly? I mean, I know we all don't know, but I mean, you heard that clack, 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 clack. Do you think that it was like rock? What did it sound like? It was like rock on rock or rock on wood?
It kind of sounded like rocks, they were just clacking rocks. And like I said, that was when we were walking in. So, that's probably like, hey, they're here, or they're coming this way, or I don't know. I don't know what it was. It only happened
I think
twice.
rock clacking is a communication between individuals letting know something's going on.
Mm-hmm. Something is here that's not normally here, whatever, that kind of thing. Do you guys, I mean, now we know how many people were, at the expedition after the conference. Like we know that some of them are not too afraid of how many people are in your party. But do you feel a little bit maybe that there were so many of you guys and kind of spread out that they really couldn't kind of get to you a good vantage point? I guess is what I'm asking. Because you were like right by the water, and
we got the thermal on the one that was behind Marianne and her group, but the brush was pretty thick, and I've got no idea how many were hiding behind the brush watching us.
Right.
And these things live and hunt and grow up in the woods. They could move without sound.
Yeah.
Like, it's as good as any old time Indian.
Yeah. It's amazing how quiet.
And the area where this one was hiding or had, came up in we walked right past it going down. I mean, we would have been 4 or 5 feet from it, because that the road, the path, the trail, whatever you want to call it, went right past it and dropped down onto the sand gravel bar there. So like when we were sitting, it was 20 feet from us, but if it was there when we went in, we would have been 5 feet, which I think it came in behind us. You know, we're all sitting there and we were all facing the rock face, you know, all of us, and not paying attention to what was behind us. So that's where it came in. It just came in behind us.
There's a campground about a quarter to a half a mile on down the river from where we were. And they sit and watch campers all the time. This is nothing new. They sit and watch people from concealment. That's their whole life, you know. It's a campground. When everybody leaves, they go down and raid the dumpsters, you know, along with their regular diet. And so they're used to watching people. They know how to sneak up on you without you hearing them and watch you and you know, lay down. I mean, we've got a lot of thermal videos of them laying flat on the ground, peeking up over a tree limb or something. So I mean, that's just one of the things that they do all the time. So if it's laying down in the sand and it gets up and moves, then that sand's going to fall off on the plants, like Marianne was talking about. So yeah, it's very possible it could have been laying there, and when it got up to leave, it could have dropped sand all over everything.
Do you think you guys left before it did and you just didn't see it on your way out?
No, because Richard, when he was therming it was retreating.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, because at the end of that video, you can see, you know, you can see it going back in there. So now I think once he turned around and was directly facing it is when it went, oh, okay, it can see me now. I'm out of here.
Yeah. I think it was off to the side of them as they were going in. And then after they got settled down on the gravel bar, it kind of snuck in behind them.
Yes, exactly.
Nice and patient. They're very patient.
Oh, yes.
They're more patient than we are.
Right? Right? That's so true. That's so true. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then Cindy makes a comment, the strange lights in the cliffs. What's that about?
There was a light up there and we never could decide, because when we first saw it, it was higher than anything. Well, first of all, it would have had to have been somebody up there with a flashlight. And it was like, we just never could decide what it was, because it looked like it was moving too fast to be like a planet or something coming up over the horizon type deal. You know, it was just odd. So we never did figure out, and we only saw it for a little while. So I'm not really sure what it was. It was just odd lights.
Interesting.
And the terrain there would make it, even with a flashlight, would make it almost impossible for a person to move in that terrain, even with a flashlight.
Well, and because at one point it was low, and then at one point it's like in the top of the trees. So, you know, it's like, unless they're up there climbing trees, and it was just an odd thing. We never could figure out what it was. It's just an odd light. That's all I can say about it. Don't have any more information.
Interesting. Yeah, you know, like, I mean, we see weird stuff when we're out there, you know.
Yeah.
We're out there looking for one thing, but sometimes we come across other things that we were like, I don't know what that is either.
I was having a conversation with somebody about that today. It's like, if you're in the woods enough, you're going to see some weird things. Now, we just so happened to be in the woods looking for Bigfoot. Does that mean that the light had anything to do with Bigfoot? No. It just means that's what we were doing when we so happened to see that light.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, you know, you just, there could be an explanation, but if you're, you know, sometimes we just don't have the explanation in the moment. Sometimes, you know, it just, you have no idea in the moment. And I don't know, like, there's been times when I've been like out and I've seen some strange things. And then I'm like, see it. I don't know, maybe I'll hear somebody on a podcast talk about something that was similar and then they had an explanation for it. And I'm like, that is probably what it was. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we just don't, if you don't have something to, if you don't have a bucket to put it into, right? And
Right.
then, you hear something on another podcast or something, and then you're like, oh, okay, wait, that makes sense.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, after that, we headed back to the trucks. Like I said, we met up with Larry and them, and there was the guys that did the overnight camp. They stayed there. They camped right on the gravel bar where we were at. So that's where they stayed. And they didn't have anything happen. We all went back to camp, and we just didn't stay out too late that night and do too much. And they came back in the next morning and hadn't had anything happen. So, but as quiet as that one was, I thought maybe something might sneak in on them. And then we found out that they had like motion sensors up. So if anything would have gotten too close, it would have set something off.
Yeah.
So
did you guys put like trail cams out or any other equipment? Nothing like that?
No.
Audio recorders? No.
I think they had a recorder going, but I did not hear that anybody got anything. So
That's an interesting subject. And we have been lots of places in the Ozarks, all the way from the edge of Oklahoma clear up to this location, which is in south central Missouri. In this area, in all the trips that we've been over there, we've not gotten any verbal recordings at all.
Wow.
Now, I can take you to the edge of Oklahoma, and they're just vocal all the time. So it's just different areas. They just seem to be different in different areas. And, family groups are that way, and there may be a reason for it. We don't know, but I've just observed that in some areas they're very vocal, in some areas they're not vocal at all.
That's interesting. I've not really ever heard anybody kind of say it like in that way, like in this area they are in this area. I've not ever heard anybody. That's a really interesting observation because they're like it makes a lot of sense to me, and because I've never really thought of it like that. Like in some places they do certain behavior, and other places they don't because they are different groups.
A couple of years ago, Marianne and I and some others went to a location about 30 miles west of the one we were at this year. And we pulled in, got out of the car, and immediately we're hearing coyotes, but off to the side of the coyote is something that's trying to imitate a coyote that's louder, deeper voiced, and it's trying to imitate the coyote, and it's not doing a very good job. And then, it was 45 minutes later, we hear something else. And over the years in this particular location, we've had vocals. But like I said, 30 miles east of there, where we were this year, we've never heard vocals.
So you guys, do you normally in this area, since you don't hear vocals, I mean, do you guys get a little bit more of like, it sounds like a little more of closer interaction with this particular area you were in this past expedition?
Seems like we have.
Yeah, I mean they're coming up into the camp area, and what we were told not last year. I think it would have been like 3 years ago when we were in this area. There was actually a long-term resident in that campground, and he told us that when he would go out and grill, the things would stand in the tree line watching grill.
He could
so
see
they
them.
were they were coming right up onto the property there in the tree line and watching him grill his dinner. So
wow.
Yeah, they are not afraid to come into that campground.
Have you guys ever discovered some, like well-traveled areas? Like, I mean, they're like a way that they're coming in, a way that they're going out, like, coming into camp and going back out, back. I mean, are there any, I don't know what I'm trying to ask.
Do they
Like
follow
game trail?
pathway?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or a game trail.
Yeah.
Well,
I
there's a fence that runs like along one side of it that there is a trail cut back there, and it looks like it's been cut for a side by side. It's about that wide.
Mhm.
So they could easily travel that and you wouldn't be able to tell, And the gentleman that owns this place he's put some trails in and things like that. So they could travel those and it would just kind of blend into the everyday traffic of the people walking
Okay,
around
so
through there.
got you.
Yeah.
over the years, I've never found that they travel existing pathways. They seem like they travel through the woods. They're more comfortable that way. And it may be that I haven't been in the place where they do follow the trails, but I've not found that to be an evidence that they use trails.
Shucking it down with cornbread asks, have you ever tried talking to them?
Oh yeah, that's been tried. It's been tried. There are more and more recordings being taken of their chatter, and as more of those get analyzed, and that maybe someone out there can practice and become a little more fluent in that particular chatter, and maybe they would have some luck. But we've never actually done that. Talk to them, yeah, a little bit. They're great mimics. If you're around camp and there's a certain word or name of someone that's used all the time around camp, and it's liable to come back from the woods in the middle of the night, so they
Wow.
can mimic real well.
And Brown Dwarf wants to know, what was he grilling?
I don't know.
I don't
He
know
never
what
told
he was
us.
grilling.
Yeah, he just said his dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, and Roger Blair just makes a comment, they could be used to, smelling human food cooking, which
Oh,
is
I don't doubt that a bit. I think
Oh,
they
yeah.
get close and hope you throw it away.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you
Well,
would
and
think,
then
I mean, you would think they were definitely, like you said, going into the dumpsters, into the garbage, and they've got to be doing that.
I've had a
I
couple of instances with fishermen who fishing, and they'll catch a trash fish and throw it up on the bank, and whatever it is in the woods across the river will be slapping the ground trying to scare them away so they can get over there and get what that is. Uh,
Oh,
that's kind of I don't say common, but it's happened several times that I know of.
wow.
Yeah, and I know someone was telling me about it's a rural pizza place, and they reported every night after they closed. I mean, not every night, but a good majority of the time, there would be one that would head to their dumpster and raid it.
Yeah.
So they knew that that there was food thrown in that, and it would go out there after they closed at night because people were seeing it digging through the dumpster. So they become very smart with that.
Man, that was my pizzeria. I would be putting a camera out there.
I had a lady several years ago watched one walk across the parking lot late at night and was opening the lids on the dumpsters behind Walmart, seeing if there's anything there. And then about a half a mile away was a dumpster at a racetrack, and she could hear it. It walked that direction. She could hear it opening the lids on the dumpsters at the racetrack, looking for food.
Yeah, because at that point it becomes, I mean, they know it's there. And even though we're not purposefully putting it out there for them, it's a food source to them at that point.
Yeah,
it is part of their routine now. Wow. That's wild. I mean, because people they don't think that they're really going to be that brazen, but if it's food is food, and free and easy food is a good thing for them.
Yeah, it is if it's free and easy.
Yep.
Definitely.
Oh, Gary Spike says he gives them fish.
I think fish is one of their common food sources, along with deer and
Mm-hmm.
anything else out there. But I think fish is one of the common things, so they're used to that, and
Yeah,
they like the
I think,
fish.
I think so too. Yeah.
And then you guys also, if and the only reason I'm even thinking of this is because I just remember, Shane talking to me a lot about there's mussels that he, finds them like eating mussels. So is that like kind of common in Missouri to have
Oh
in
yeah, that's
rivers
in
and
the
lakes?
rivers and things around here.
Okay.
Yeah, they can find that kind of stuff. There's not only do we have fish, we've got frogs and crawdads, the mussels. Now they're smaller, they're not real big a lot of the times, but you can find stuff like that along the shorelines of the lakes, and that all that stuff's it's in the rivers too. So there's all kinds of stuff for them to eat out of the waterways around here.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of that's and of course you guys have those pawpaw trees, right? That Shane always
Yeah.
talks about.
Yeah, we've
And
got
they
pawpaws and
yeah.
persimmons, and there's wild grapes all over the place. I mean, now they'd have to eat a lot of them, but it is something that they could supplement their diets with.
Mhm.
We have all kinds of walnut trees and like hickory nuts and there's acorns. I mean, I don't know. They could eat. I mean, I'm sure they could eat that stuff. The deer eat it. Squirrels eat it. Why couldn't they?
Right.
It's funny. I've had several instances where people are just scratching their head because they had a fruit tree, apples or peaches or whatever, that was full when they went to bed, and the next morning they get up and the tree is empty, totally empty, clear to the top. Uh, and they're all mad because they thought somebody snuck in there and took them all. Well, no, no, they'll clean a fruit tree out overnight.
Wow. Yeah, because I mean, chances are that all of the fruit on the tree is going to be ready just about the same time, right?
Sure. And if it's a family group, they've got the little ones that know how to climb trees. They're going to be up grabbing every one of them, and they're gone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Exactly.
Have you guys ever found any like bedding areas or anything like that?
Yeah, Marianne can tell you about bedding areas.
Yeah, I could tell that. Well, the very first sighting, we literally walked into a bedding area and sat down. Now we didn't know it. We didn't find that out till the next day when we went back to look. And the area we had sat in was, I don't know, 20 feet. I'm not going to say a square or anything, but, just like a 20-foot area. Was completely matted down, no saplings, nothing in it. It's just all matted down like there had been, if it had been a deer herd, they would have had to been packed in there like sardines and done it multiple times. And there was a little berm on one side of it. And the only reason I realized it, I stood on the berm and turned around and looked, and it's like there's a whole area that's all matted down. No saplings, no nothing. But if you turn around and look at the other side, there's all kinds of saplings out there. So that was the first thing that you look at and go, that's weird. There's no saplings in here. And all the leaves were matted. And so, yeah, we'd walked into Bigfoot bedroom and sat down and made ourselves at home.
Didn't
one
even
of
know.
one of the juveniles crawled up there on the berm and sat and watched them. That's how they noticed that there were too many people in the group. One too many people when they counted up. Marianne noticed that, and when they all got up, it turned and jumped off of the berm and took off in the woods. So
Yeah.
that would creep me out. I mean, only because how long could it have been sitting there that nobody, like, you know what I mean? Like, it just rolled on up and was like, yep, I'm here, I'm hanging out.
Yeah, we don't know if we walked in and walked past it, or if the little thing crawled in on us, and just slid in behind this little bush. Don't know. but when the gentleman noticed it and they kind of stood up, well, then it jumped up and rolled off the berm, was gone. And then that's when the big one behind us started making itself known because it wanted us to pay attention to it. And so, we were sitting right there, I guess, probably where they lay down during the day. We just stumbled in there and sat down. Well, okay, this looks like a good spot.
So I've got the video queued up that Richard put together. So this is his, he's got some, it starts out showing his drone footage that he does. He's got such a beautiful area. I can't even believe how, it was out of a magazine, you sent me that photo and I'm like, aww. Look at all the colors. I was all like, oh my gosh, look at that. So it's got some drone footage. And then it does have a thermal of something.
Yeah.
And it's pretty compelling. So let me pull that up.
Okay.
Let's see. Hold on here. Share. Let me see how I'm going to share it. I'm going to share. No. It'll be this one. And then I'm going to go full screen. I think I can go full screen here. Is it full screen?
Close enough.
It's good size. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, guys. This is amazing. Let me make sure I have it all the way to the beginning. Here we go.
You can see where there's a line of tree. I saw his head and shoulders. Oh yeah,
I got to go back and watch that last part. We got to go back and watch that last part. We got to. Hold on here. Hang on. I gotta watch this last part again.
If you retreat.
Oh, Bonnie's turban.
Oh, yeah.
the whole body's
It's in
heat.
that. Oh man,
Yeah.
that got a good thermal heat. He retreated.
Yeah, that's no deer.
No.
No, that's definitely. I turned off the sound. Let me go back
Yeah.
a little bit again. Because, like,
Yeah, I mean, you can see it's
definitely,
upright.
yeah, you can definitely see
You can
that
see its
it's.
arms in one spot. You can see its legs moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, right there, you see it walk. You see it
Yeah.
walking right past that, right along that.
If that was a person in clothing, any kind of clothing would be gray and not black.
Well, in that area, we walked up through there the next day, and that we wouldn't have walked that smoothly through that area. You know, it was
Yeah.
just a little bit rough to get through there.
That is some compelling stuff. Amazing. Amazing.
And even when it took off, you didn't hear it.
No, they're used to
Well,
walking
sorry,
through the
guys.
woods very quietly.
Yeah, Spiritual Odyssey says, wow, you can really see it. Yes, you can really see it.
Yep.
Yes. I mean, and again, we go back to that whole thing about how, how they do move and how they move so fluid. You could see that it literally was just like,
Yeah.
like no real, it wasn't awkward. It wasn't like, trying to like we are and how we are, in the woods, that we're like trying to not trip over this and trying to not step on that. And it was just like, wow.
Yep.
Phenomenal piece of evidence.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole time, like I said, he's 20 feet, she, whatever, was 20 feet behind us, and we didn't know it. We were that close to it and didn't know it. It was just having a good time sitting there watching us.
Yeah. So let's talk about these expeditions that you guys lead. All right. Obviously, y'all are successful. Y'all know where to go to. That you're getting literally, every time you guys go out, you're having experiences, you're getting evidence, tell us about these expeditions you guys
Well,
do.
if I might, Mary Ann's leading the expedition. I'm going to support and help her, assist in any way I can. We've been extremely lucky in these last couple of expeditions in that we've had evidence of something going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
I'd like to caution people to not expect that to happen every time, because there's lots and lots of times you go out and nothing happens. It's quiet, nice, nothing happens, nothing goes on. These expeditions, especially to someone who's not been on one, they are, and I'm just going to speak from my experience because of the first one or two or three that I went on. You're going to have investigators from all across the United States. You're going to have people there from all across the United States that have experience with these things, that know about them. And you're going to have 3 days of education crammed into what you're going to believe it to be a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn so much just having a one-on-one conversation, or we'll have an investigator from, well, this time we had one from South Carolina that
Yes.
teaches you, wood lore, different things, but the conversations about these Bigfoot, you're going to learn so much. It's going to be worth your while. And if you go out and you happen to have an experience like happened this time or the time before, that's just icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like going out to the woods and setting. You're not going to have something happen every time. But if you're in and I started to say a remote area, but I'm not going to say remote because this doesn't happen all the time in remote areas.
No.
But if you've got woods and you've got up and down hills and a lot of wild area around you, don't think that they're not there. So get out of the house. Don't come home from work and go in and turn the TV on. Go back out and sit and listen and pay attention to what's going around you. And you may be very surprised at what you find.
Yeah, we did find out. We had a couple of gentlemen that were just sitting around the fire at the campground and had a real crisp, clear wood knock one night. Just they were sitting up, I think, after everybody else had gone to bed, just visiting. They weren't ready to go to sleep yet. And they said it was just one crisp, clear wood knock came out of the woods. And that was all that there was. So, it's like, even when we're not out in the woods in that area, we get stuff. So, that's probably an area we're going to keep to do our private expeditions. Maybe take smaller groups in there, something like that. But because we have a lot of, Larry, I know you're talking about that. A lot of the times we don't have stuff happen. I can't sit here and tell you that I've not ever had something happen on all our expeditions. Now, there have been times maybe your group doesn't have as much, but something happens.
Yeah, and that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, we sat around one year, and it ended up being Larry and I and my husband Robert and another couple and another lady, and we were sitting by this lake area, and we let everybody leave. We didn't want to go with the big groups. We didn't. And we sat down there and caught 30 minutes of howling. But it was not standing in one place. It was very far off, and it was running. You could tell it was moving through the woods up and down the hills. And Larry, didn't you map it later and say the thing
later? It covered 3 miles through the woods, no trails, up and down, up a bluff, across the river in 30 minutes.
And it continued to howl the whole time.
It screamed. I mean, in our first, all of us standing there listening to this, everyone agreed, this sounds like a woman screaming, looking for her baby. That's what it sounded like. But the screams were long, drawn out, very deep, carried a long ways. No animal that I know of in the woods, and I've been out in the woods my whole life, no animal that I know of can do that. So you eliminate everything else, and what are you left with? But yes, it screamed continuously until it went out of hearing.
Yeah. And it did. It sounded almost like it was distressed. So, we all kind of came to that conclusion that maybe it was a female one looking for a young, just by the way it sounded. And we, and we sat there for 30 minutes trying to figure out, well, could it be this? Could it be that? And we just kept coming back to, it's not anything. It wasn't mechanical, I mean, we went through the whole gambit of, okay, this is where we're at. What could it be? And we couldn't find anything.
Wow. So are you guys booking for next year's expeditions, or do you guys have another one you're doing this year? Like, if somebody wants to reach out to you guys,
they can reach out to me anytime. We currently, what we have will be the BFRO one in the spring. And now they'll have to go to the BFRO website. That should be coming up anytime. So they just need to keep an eye out for that one. Okay. And if we're going to do some other stuff too. And once we have that down in a day, we will definitely come back on here and tell you all about it.
Awesome.
Because, of course, I plan to do private ones too. I've got the bug. I can't stop.
Yeah, man. You want to get out there and do one like.
And the food is wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, if Martha and Cindy are there, I'm telling you, I know the food is good.
Yep. They cooked for this one also. They cooked for this one. So, yep. We've got the food thing down too. You, if you come and go on an expedition with us, you will be fed well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you will. Yes, you will.
Yeah.
So you still have your the Ozark Mountain Bigfoot Conference Facebook page that you
Yes.
have. That's how people can
Yes.
reach you.
Yes.
And so if anybody wants to reach out and possibly go on, either a private expedition, if it's a BFRO. Now, when they go to the BFRO website, do they need to specify that it's a Missouri?
Yeah, when you go onto the BFRO site, it has them broken down by states. So
Okay.
they just go on to the Missouri one, and it will then prompt them through that.
Awesome. Wow. Well, I'm definitely going to be coming back up for sure.
Good.
Yeah, we're waiting.
Yeah. We're glad to have you.
Can't wait, can't wait, can't wait. I'm like
Yeah.
so excited. I'm like, this time though, I'm gonna fly straight through this time. It's gonna be straight
Yes.
through flight, right, Marianne? We
Yes,
talked
ma'am.
about that already.
If I have
My
to come out
days
of the
of
woods
missing flights are over.
Yep, we got you on a straight flight, and if I have to come straight out of the woods to get you, I will.
I love it. That's what best friends are for. My
Right?
Bigfoot
Exactly.
bestie. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight.
You're welcome.
And
You're welcome.
I just love it when you guys come because it's like family. It's family, and it's
It
just
is.
awesome. It's awesome, and I'm also thankful that you guys, like you even said to me before you went out, you're like, hey, if we get any action, can we come on the show? I'm like, yes.
Well,
Doesn't
we
even
don't
need
want you to get tired of us.
No, never. Are you kidding? I could listen to y'all's stories. Come on now, you know me. I
Well,
wanna hear
we've got
everybody's
stories, but we can only give you the good ones on air.
Right.
That's true. And if Shane's going to be there, we have to have what? The bacon.
Exactly. He was on something the other night, and I did make a comment about, stop licking. And I saw him flinch. I got him. He flinched when I put it in the comments.
He's so much fun. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you guys for being here. I just I don't know. I'm in awe of what you guys do, and one of the things I want to make a point to a lot of people is that, like you said, you guys are very education based. It is,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's about, learning and educating yourself and being around people who have been doing this for 20 plus years, and
Right.
like you have access to these people when you're on these expeditions that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to have these types of like conversations and learn so much from them, and that is like such a key element.
Yeah,
And you
just sitting
guys,
around the campfire sometimes is a
Mhm.
very educational place to be.
Yes,
Sometimes.
yes.
Sometimes, not always.
But
Well,
it seems like that you meet new people and you grow your family. That
you
the
do.
people that have come to these, it's like we've got a whole extended family and everybody's family, and just like you, Marty, it's a whole new group of family that we can
Mhm.
associate with.
Yeah,
It's a great thing.
it is. And
Yes.
thank you that you consider me family, Larry. And Patrick too. Patrick's
Yes.
family.
Yep. Patrick's family.
Pyromedic is also my family. So is Gary over there. Wow. Thanks, guys. I'm stoked. I'm stoked for the expedition I'm coming on.
We'll get you hooked. You'll just be coming to Missouri on a regular basis.
Am I gonna have to move to Missouri now?
Maybe.
I might.
Yeah, you come up here. If we get arrested, we can always call Larry.
That's true. That is very true. That is very, very, very true. And before we go, let me just very quickly, Patrick, thank you again. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. I kindness that and the love that people show me is amazing. And thank you. So yes, we're going to do that. I can't wait. I can't wait to get up there. I'm like, because I was just out like last weekend, right? And not this past weekend, the weekend before, but it's different. I love being out here as well, but it's a different vibe up there. It's different. It's very different. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the difference is, but there is a difference. It's a complete, I don't know. Up there, it feels like serene, like you're like in Nirvana or something. Like it's just this whole different vibe. It's like down here, it just feels like you're out, you're having a good time, but you never 100% can you really just immerse yourself and feel comfortable and completely relaxed. Like how
We'll
I
make you
feel.
a hillbilly yet.
Yep.
Yes, let's do it. I can say y'all. I can say
There
that
you go.
good.
There
That's the
you
first step.
go.
Y'all. I got that. I got that down. Y'all. Is it Missouri or Missouri? I know that there's a whole
Missouri.
different thing there.
It's Missouri.
Missouri. I'm saying Missouri. It's the show me
Yeah.
state. So there you
Yep.
go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, I know.
Yep.
All right, guys. Let me just say goodnight to everybody. If you guys can hang out for me backstage for just a little bit. All right.
Sure.
Okay. See you in a minute. Well, guys, if you didn't get a chance to see the thermal video that we shared just a little bit ago, make sure you go back and watch it. It's very compelling evidence. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate everything that you guys do, all the support that you show me. I from the bottom of my heart, I love you guys, and happy Halloween. I have a board meeting tomorrow night, so that's how my Halloween is going to go. But I hope everybody has a fun Halloween. Enjoy yourselves. Eat lots of candy. It's only once a year. Well, maybe not once a year, but for the kids it is. So I hope everybody has a wonderful Halloween, spooky Halloween. And please, please remember, just always spread love and kindness wherever you go.